This is the foam design of a 3D style tribute of a rabbit, going in theme with the Mad Hatter Alice in Wonderland sort of theme. The aim for this was to have gypsophilia massed in groupings along the rabbit, and having foliage found and gathered coming over the edge, and over here having the same sort of any leftover flowers being here, as well as the spout on this teapot, and then any leftover gypsophilia would be in the sugar pot. I've used some dried gypsophilia that I had on hand, as we're not able to get flowers right now. As a final touch, and we'd have one of the anthuriums here, or if the rabbit was holding it, coming up and maybe hanging over, depending on the shape, as they're quite, and adding a few bits of wire and beads just to finish it off. This is the wired design. So the aim for this design, I wasn't quite sure whether I'd do this one glued or wired, but in the end I decided wired would be best. And so the idea was to have these rib units here coming out of the teapots. So there's one coming out of each teapot, and then up and along the driftwood here will be another one just wrapping round. These are all, I've attached these with glue, and then I've got the teapot on some aluminium wire just attached with a bit of the floral sticky stuff. A bit of yarn just for decoration and some extra cups underneath. So this design would have a mixture of the flowers from the rest of the design, such as the hat and the bowl and that. So we'd have some gypsophilia, some carnations, and the Santani chrysanthemums, and just any other bits just along here, creating a very bright, vibrant style. This is the glued design as a hat. So the idea of this would be having everything coming out the top hat, crazy all like, and so I'd glue on to these branches here. I'd have glued on sections of petals from the carnations that I've feathered as well. As you can see, I've got quite a few. I've just got some dried crispidia as an example of how things would look. They may or may not be in the final design, with wires and beads all over. We've got the caterpillar from Alice in Wonderland with his little smoke thing, and then using a hat corsage I made earlier in the year, I'd use this. I've using this as an example of what it would look like as the final. However, the final design would use this bit of crimped bullion here, and I'd glue on a corsage sort of style in place of this one here, as well as attaching any extra bits of petals along the way, maybe adding some of the gypsophilia in, but mainly this design will use the chrysanthemums and the santinis. Final design here is the non-foam. For this I've used a giant teapot or a bedpan, and the idea for this one is working on minimalism. I've used the wires here to show where I'd place the Lysianthus coming up, and then they circle and cage the design here. And then these, I'd have some bear grass. I luckily had one piece but not multiples. So these would be coming up, not quite this high, probably to about here, and then coming in each of these gaps creating a line of sight inwards. I've talked more about this in the description, all towards these dried hydrangeas that I have on hand.